We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Raza Bokhari, who's the Executive Co-Chairman of FSD Pharma. Raza, what is FSD Pharma? What are you guys doing?
Herb, FSD Pharma is a public entity that is building the largest hydroponic medicinal cannabis company in Canada. Mm-hmm. And we are transforming into a global pharmaceutical company that is producing a robust pipeline of FDA-approved synthetic cannabinoid applications targeting to treat diseases of the central nervous system, musculoskeletal disorders, autoimmune diseases, and particularly targeting to find a better treatment for opioid addiction that is a scourge that we face in America.
How many countries have legalized medical marijuana? What's your anticipated role to play in that whole industry internationally? 20
countries, and we intend to be a leader of supplying to all of these countries from our facility.
Raza, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I am originally from Pakistan. And my wife will tell you that I'm still growing up.
And tell us about Mom and Dad. What did Mom and Dad do, Raza?
My father was trained out of Oak Ridge National Laboratories and rose to become the chief scientist and scientific advisor to the government of Pakistan. And my mother is a master's in psychology.
Interesting. You've had a couple of entrepreneurial successes. Can you tell us just a couple of mention some of those companies?
Yeah, I started from a row home house, which was a startup laboratory in North Philadelphia. From there on, I built a national company that was sold in 2006 to a private equity fund. From there on, I built a entity that had a partnership with an Israeli genomic company. From there, I think I currently also have a global diagnostic company where we test for opioid specialized tests, and now I have this public entity.
Raza, what was it like growing up in Pakistan?
Pretty normal, unlike what people think in the United States.
And what did you do for fun?
Played cricket.
Cricket? And you described yourself as a self-proclaimed geek. What did you mean by that?
Back in the day, I used to think that if you are a student, somehow you get ahead in life. But I've learned differently. Now, you got to be, I think, more of a just hang with the guys.
Denise?
You grew up the youngest of 3 children. What did you learn from your older siblings that you apply in business today?
How to maneuver to get your way.
Ethan?
So you also, Raza, are loyal. I think you were telling us earlier in the green room that you still are friends with somebody that you grew up with. Can you share with the listening audience who that was? What that person means to you?
The relationships matter. I still have the same lawyers and accountants that used to actually count my pennies back in the day when I had nothing. They still represent me these 20-plus years ago, and I still have friends from middle school.
We have a young lady here who, her name is Carolyn Bonner, and I understand, Carolyn, you've been working with Raza. What did you tell me? It was 2 days after you graduated college or something. Is that true?
That is true. I graduated on Saturday, and I was working for his company.
How many years ago was that?
That was almost 13 years ago in May.
So you've been working with Raza for all these years. What's your role in this new organization?
I'm currently the president of his company, Parkway Clinical Laboratories.
What have you learned from Raza working with him these 13 years?
I think what makes Raza so special is his ability to motivate and inspire employees.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well,
it's not his brilliant ideas?
Well, that as well, but he pushes employees and expects a lot out of them, but also when they're in a time of need or crisis, he's the first one to offer a helping hand. And
what? Wait a minute. I read the newspapers and I read about people getting fired and hating their bosses and stuff, and you're telling me he's not that way?
Not in my opinion.
How about that? All right. Who's got the next question here? Mark?
Raza, where in Pakistan did you grow up?
Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad.
And those are sophisticated urban areas?
for a lack of a better way to define them.
With a strong British influence?
Very much so. Now there's a lot of changes. It's transformed. But I was there, yes, 30 years ago.
And how's that affecting you, growing up with those British influences?
I think it has helped me assimilate in the United States.
How young were you when you came to the United States?
Right out of medical school, 24.
So you were 24 years old when you came to the United States. And when you came to the United States, did you have a job here?
No. I came to do residency training.
Oh, you did a residency training. And when you finished your residency training, what ended up happening?
No, I didn't finish. I spun off and went into a startup entity in North Philadelphia because I had to support myself. And that entity decided that it could actually somehow help me fast track and get a green card. And so they indentured me through some labor cert program.
So you came to the United States and the entrepreneurial bug grabbed you right away, it sounds like.
Yeah, I had to figure out a way how to make money. I grew up sheltered.
So, wait. You grew up sheltered, but yet you understood the basics of how to make money, even though you didn't grow up in that environment?
I knew the basics, how to get to first world, how to get to the land of opportunities. So I always knew that I was going to land in the United States, in America.
And the United States opened the doors for you, but you understood how to step through the doors.
I found my way into the United States. It doesn't open the doors for you unless you want it to open the doors for you. I found my way into it.
What are you talking about? What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Well, I just talked my way through the visa counselor in Islamabad, in the U.S. Embassy, where today when I go in there, they actually think I am some kind of a quasi-diplomat, but that's very nice. But back in the day when I went there, I was refused a visa the first time. The second time I went to get a visa, the counselor asked me, well, what has changed in 6 months that you've come back again? I said to him, well, officer, other than that I'm wearing a new shirt and I have a new set of spectacles, nothing has changed in me. So he laughed and he said,
How many jobs do you think you've created in this country?
Maybe a few thousand. I don't know.
Oh, you've only created a few thousand jobs, and you had a problem
directly and indirectly, yes.
Yes, and you had a problem getting a visa originally, huh? Peter?
So, Raza, your father worked toward a larger purpose in Pakistan. What did he teach you about the big picture? What drives you in the big picture?
You must do the small things well. And you must focus attention to detail, and patience, persistence, and perseverance eventually pays off.
All right, give us that again. Do that slowly. What are you talking about there? I mean, you've been very successful considering you had a problem getting a visa and you had to fight your way into this country, and you've created all these thousands of jobs. Give us that detail again. What do you mean?
Patience, persistence, and perseverance eventually pays off, and you must always pay attention to details. You must preserve and protect your brand.
Jeffrey?
But you also have to adjust and recalibrate. We talked about recalibration. How has that process helped you?
That somehow I have over time evolved to come to understand. You must manage expectations. You must always have an aim. That is something that I've learned from my friend and benefactor, the former president of Pakistan, General Musharraf, that I know, Herb, that you have met once or twice in my home, that you must always set an aim, and you must always revisit whatever you are doing. Is the aim being fulfilled? And if the aim is somehow being challenged in your pursuit, you must recalibrate and reassess.
You learned about is recalibration the same thing as entrepreneuring?
It can be.
How'd you learn about recalibration? Where'd you learn that from, mom or dad, or how'd you learn that?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Somehow I think it's I've learned from America. I've learned from my peers, I've learned from peers, superiors, and people like Carolyn that have surrounded me. I've learned from people around me.
What have you learned from your kids?
From my daughter, I have learned to be more patient. Patience.
And are you married?
Yes.
What have you learned from your wife about business? Period. What have you learned from your wife?
She was like the first investor in me. She believed in me. She is a trained dentist out of Penn.
Has your wife gotten a return on investment?
Seems like that, I hope so.
I just want to make sure.
I don't think so. But I don't think that's enough. With the sacrifices she makes, but I think she's doing okay.
Give me the website address for FSD Pharma, please.
www.fsdpharma.com.
Let me have that one more time.
www.fsdpharma.com.
We've been speaking with Raza Bokhari, Executive Co-Chairman, FSD Pharma, here on Executive Leaders Radio.